out for these.
It's literally the best option for us. Oh, we're live right now.
All right, let's see here. There we go.
Oh man, I didn't even change the Twitter title. Whatever. I'm gonna retweet it. Oh, they already.
All right, I tweeted it out. I got it out there.
The comment section is already booming from.
You knew that.
Booming.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. What a game. Yo,
Yes,
we'll just get that out of the
sir.
way right away. Mel, shout out to Mel. You were at the game, I believe, or you were watching. No, you were at home today, I think. But shout out to Mel going to the game at least on Friday.
Sweet 16, baby. Sweet 16.
Yes, sir.
Man,
We're going to what? San Francisco?
San Francisco, man. We out to the West Coast.
West Coast, best coast, baby. West Coast, best coast.
Sir. Yes, sir. Let me see what
Apollo fans going to show out there.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's booming. It's booming. We got a lot to talk about, man. Oh man. What a win. What a win. The Sweet 16 bound. Oh man. The last 5 minutes of the game. That's a Duke classic right there. That's
Yeah,
when you
that really is.
That's when you rewind and rewatch for the next 5 days. Like you oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, let's get it started.
Nobody outside of Kentucky cares about that rivalry.
Exactly.
Who cares about
wins 2015 or 2010, and everybody is saying 2015. So
just got back up here at Durham a couple days ago. So been in the gym a little bit. Me and Joey been in the gym working out together.
As Duke fans, as Duke coaches, you know, but I get excited over there, even in my suit, I'm grabbing Coach Tyler's leg, like.
Yes, sir. That Michigan State pack is in the air. Revenge. We'll send you home this time around. No, sir. We had to get that revenge. But man, oh man. First off, I gotta start. Yeah, I gotta start off because I just want to give Jeremy Roach his credit. My goodness, Jeremy Roach. Stars are made in March. What did I tweet last week? I said year 3, Jeremy Roach is about to be scary.
Yep.
He's going to be in the conversation for elite point guard next year. Y'all will see it. But anyway, got my guy.
All American.
All American. Well, I'm ready to say that too. The stars are made in March, but I got my guys Brian, Ryan, Russ in the building. I guess just in Ryan, just start us off, man.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, shout out to TickPick for sponsoring the show. Promo code Duke Nation. If you want to go to San Francisco next weekend and watch Duke play in the Sweet 16, promo code Duke Nation. Anyways, dude, what a freaking game. Dude, I haven't felt like that. I think it hasn't been like that hype since the Gonzaga or Kentucky game. I feel like that was a vintage Duke win. Down 70-65, going a 15-4 run. Jeremy Roach, after basically a broken possession, which we'll get into those offensive half-court sets later, but after a broken possession, Roach steps up and hits a huge three-pointer. Unbelievable. Mark Williams, like moving into lottery pick conversation, question mark, right? Like at least getting close. He has to be. Trevor Keels tonight steps up, plays really good defense, actually is going downhill, getting fouled, making finishes, and then hits a three-pointer for the first time since the UNC game, I think is what the stat was. So big ups to him. Jeremy Roach did great. Wendell Moore, 15 points, great game. AJ Griffin looked to be healthy enough to maybe have came back in if let's just say overtime was in play. So I'm assuming within 6 days he'll be okay to go. But man, what a fun game. 70-65. This team showed fight. They showed heart. They step up on the big stage, man. I don't know what else to say. Brian, what you got?
Yeah, man. I had my doubts when they were down 5 because you've seen this team all year. When the game gets close, tight, especially in that second half. I mean, to be able to be out, 3-point shotted, whatever you want to call it, scored 33-15, out rebounded, turned the ball over more. gave up double-digit offensive rebound, and still win by 9 and allowed 50% shooting from the 3 and still won the game. That's when you know it's about grit.
Absolutely. Russ, what do you got from the bar, man?
Oh my goodness. Let me get the ISO. Get the ISO.
Oh man, that's an 8%. That's a hard one to try.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Oh shit, my bad.
Oh,
I'm back. Let's go.
black.
Are we back? Can you see me?
Nope,
Wait.
nope.
Oh no. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
We can hear you. There you go.
Now we
Let's
can.
go.
Go ahead.
Gang. Yeah, I know a lot of people were questioning it. You know, I think that's fair to be concerned. I was not that concerned, and that's uncharacteristic. You know, I try to be as rooted as possible, but you know, I just kept coming back to a couple of things. When it comes down to one possession, we had more talent. We have the coach who historically outperforms the other coach. And I just knew that if we could stay in front of three-point shooters, which we struggled to do at times, but if we stayed in front of them, I thought our chances of winning, even down 1, even down 4, whatever it was, I just really liked our chances. I think there were a lot of things that we've been screaming for the team to do that they did really well. For instance, Paolo shooting threes after dribbling a bunch, not as good. Paolo shooting threes off the catch, elite. I mean, honestly, one of the best shooters on the team. When it's off the catch, he was doing that. Trevor Keels, when he's getting downhill, he's pretty unstoppable. And he did that a lot today, and I really appreciated that. Jeremy Roach, I mean, I don't have enough awesome words to say for Jeremy Roach. In addition to bailing us out on that one three-pointer, which he's done a couple of times in games this year, by the way. Like, it was not just today. He's bailed us out a few times. When it's game time, it's Jeremy Roach time, like just straight up. And this is something that I've loved about him since high school. This is why I was so high on him coming into Duke. It took him a little while to get here. He still has some flashes of inconsistency, but I tell you what, the game is slowing down for him. He's always going to have a little bit of size disadvantage on defense, but he's really scrappy on that end. He's trying hard. And on offense, he is not afraid to get whacked. He's not afraid to go to the hole and do the thing. I mean, like, he is the sort of guy that I want leading the team next year. I mean, like, he is a leader. And honestly, he might already be a leader for this team, just straight up in terms of we look to him when we need a possession. You know, Wendell, I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on Wendell to be the guy on this team. Maybe all Wendell has to be is the Quinn Cook. Maybe he just has to be the guy that we can count on to make the big play when it matters. We don't need him to be the player that makes the crazy shots, the player that does the crazy stuff. But what we do need is someone reliable. We need a reliable option on both ends of the floor. I think Wendell did a great job doing that today. And then Mark Williams. I mean, the difference between I love Theo. I love Theo's swagger. I love everything about him. The difference between Mark and Theo when they're on the floor on defense is not close. Because Theo just can't close out the way that Mark can because he doesn't have the length that Mark does. When Mark is out there, every time Michigan State made a run, it was because Theo was out there. That's nothing against Theo. That's because of the scheme, right? If Theo's out there, we need to try a different scheme because the scheme that we have works as well as it does because Mark is there. And Mark is so efficient inside. Mark making those clutch free throws. They both looked great. I never had like a doubt in terms of the stroke, in terms of what it looked like. We're very used to, as Duke fans, big guys having a bit of a hitch when they shoot free throws in clutch moments. And Mark, whether they go in or not, they look good every time. And AJ, we can talk about the health of AJ, but I'll say this: we've tweeted about this and we talked about this before. Even though the offense is always better when AJ is on the floor, the defense is always worse when AJ is on the floor. And I do think that bore out tonight, where once we lost AJ, yes, we lost a degree of our firepower. We did, and if we're gonna beat Texas Tech, we need AJ. Like I'm not pretending like things will be gravy without him. We need him. That said, when you need a big defensive stop, which we needed at the end of that game, the lineup that we had on the floor was absolutely ideal for that. So I was not that concerned, and I'm glad it bore out. I'm very glad it bore out.
Yeah, I tweeted that I think 5 minutes, 5 minutes to the end of the game. I said, we've seen this lineup close before. We've seen this lineup close against Gonzaga. And that's a big game. Kentucky, we've seen this lineup close in big games before. and I didn't really have. I had confidence in them. The way they were playing, not so much, but I had confidence in them, and I think we saw it. I tweeted it too. Like we had Jeremy make big plays, we had Wendell make big plays, we had Trevor make big plays. I mean, Mark was making big plays all game, even if he didn't have a significant play, at the end of the game.
Base Jones.
Base Jones. Paolo, my goodness, Paolo's not going to get enough. Paolo's play is not going to get enough credit. The block before Jeremy's three, that was ultimately the biggest play of the game because that gave us the ball back, and we were giving up points, trading points, possessions with them all game. So like Paolo's block really, I think, set the momentum at the end of the game that we were going to actually, take this one. And it's team effort, man. You got to be so happy with this, like,
dude. It was so much fun, and like people are going to talk about leaning on Wendell. I didn't even realize this until the end of the game. He went 9 of 10 from the free throw line for 15 points. So like as far as an offensive standpoint, like as watching the game, it wasn't like he was standing out in any capacity at all. But the fact that he went to the line and knocked down 90% of his free throws, and as a team, we were at 76%. That tells you a lot. And at the end of the game, I think the quote from him was in the press conference when he stepped to the line. It was, all I could see was me in the basket. That's all I could see.
Captain.
Yeah, exactly, Captain. And I'm not gonna lie, when he walked up to the free throw line, he looked nervous as shit. Like he looked like he was shaking. I said to the guys that I'm watching with, I'm like, dude, he looks terrified. And he walks up there and knocks them both down. Dude was stone cold at the free throw line. So shout out to Wendell. Go
Hunter,
for it,
hell yeah. I was gonna say, did anyone have any doubt that Wendell was gonna make those shots? I had no doubt. Like when he went up, he's been our best free throw shooter all year long. He's been our most reliable player, with the exception of right after the COVID shutdown. He had a month that was not good, right? But even after that, he's found a way, even though he was never as efficient as he was before the COVID shutdown, his reliability is so integral to the team's success. And so when he was the guy going up to the line, I turned to the guys next to me at the bar, and I was like, well, we're getting 2 points. I mean, like I had zero doubt in my mind about it because he's been the rock that we have built our foundation on.
When I think something that people aren't going to – I think this was Banchero's top 3 game of the year, probably one of his best 3 or 4 games of the year, just all around game. 19 points, not going to like stand out completely on a stat sheet, but his defense was probably one of the best defensive games he played. They only gave him credit for, I think, 1 block, but when Michigan State drove the ball, he wasn't following a ton, and he was deflecting the ball or at least making them adjust their shots. So I want to give a shout out to Paulo.
And about the passing, dude, the passing.
Yeah, he was.
He should have had more. He should have had more assists than he got. He should have had more assists than he got. There were a couple where he dished it perfect. Yeah, he should have had like 7 assists. He should have had like 19, 7, and 7. If he had 19, 7, and 7, the entire media would be slobbering right now. You know what I mean? But like, it's 19, like 6 and 4. Okay, like they're gonna let that slide. Fine, but like this is the sort of game where I know that like players shouldn't be thinking this way. But this is the game where players make their money. Like is on games exactly like this. And I don't think that Duke players in particular are immune to that understanding. So like if you don't deliver in games like this, you don't get paid. Just straight up. Teams will overreact in the NBA to how you perform in the NCAA tournament. They always do, every single year. So if you ball out, you will make literally millions of dollars more in the next few years. So this is really where we've talked about the inconsistency of the team, and I think that that's completely fair. I love that question from David. Great question. Great question, David.
Ryan doesn't even see it.
My
It's a
color
phenomenal
of blue.
question.
This isn't blue. This is gray. This is
In the light, dude. In the light, it doesn't look great. In the light, it doesn't look great. But this, I know. But I'm just saying that this is where players should, in theory, be maximizing what we expect from them because, like, they know what's at stake. Their future agents and managers and their coaches and their staff have told them what is at stake. So if we don't see them deliver here, then when will they deliver? Right?
Yeah.
Like, so this is exactly when I expect the best of them. And Paolo was great.
Question quick, since Russ has just finished the beer, for Zion and Brian, when Mark is off the court, and I agree with what Russ said. If Theo's 2 inches taller or 2 inches longer, it's a difference maker. He just doesn't have the length that Mark does. Is there anything that you guys, as the X's and O's guys, would say that Duke can do better when Mark is off the floor? Because when he's off the floor, at least in this game, we just looked stagnant on offense. There wasn't much movement. There wasn't much flow. So thoughts on the offense without Mark in the lineup?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think the staff has to do a better job of realizing when those guys aren't on the floor, you can't just read the defense. You have to run some sets. You have to run, you have to run some stuff for your best guys on the floor. Otherwise, you can't initiate anything because you don't have guys that are normally in the position of putting the ball in the basket. So you got to have sets for those guys. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And it hasn't all year.
Yeah. I mean, you said the question was
with Mark out of the game, and
was that on
Theo's
offense or defense?
On offense, like it just seemed like tonight, if Mark wasn't in the game, this team wasn't scoring, at least with the efficiency as they were when he was in the game. So he's got to take rest. He's got to take breaks. He's a big man who moves a lot. So like, what do we do when he's not on the floor as far as an offensive strategy goes?
I mean, honestly, I hate to make it about Theo, but like, I think if Mark is on the floor, we have to go small. At least try. Because I don't.
You're saying if Mark's off the floor, go small without Theo in?
Yeah, put Paolo. If we want offense, if we're looking for offense, put Paolo at the 5.
Sure.
I wouldn't see, because honestly, I don't think Theo protects the rim like we need.
But that's defense.
Yeah, defense. I feel like we do okay, but offensively, there's just not a lot going on.
See, Ryan. I disagree with Ryan. I think that the offense.
Hold on.
All right, fair. Yeah, you're right.
Counter your point. If Theo's not giving us what we want defensively, he's not really affecting. He's not helping us offensively. So, like, is there really a need for him on the court as much?
You got to give guys rest, though.
Yeah, Mark Williams can't play 40 minutes.
Yeah,
yeah, but that's why you stagger Mark Williams and Paolo, which is what I'd rather see in a close game. But go ahead, Russ.
No, I was gonna say that the offense honestly didn't bother me much, other than I turned to when Theo got the ball on his first possession. I turned to the guy next to me and I said, "Here comes a missed hook shot."
And you were right. He clanked it off the backboard.
Because Theo's good for one missed hook. And now I tell you what, he actually did better on offense this game than I expected. He had a couple of putbacks that were real nice, and a couple of tapbacks were real nice. So, like, he did better there. I think our bigger problem when Mark is off the floor is on defense, because we're playing the drop coverage. Now, when we're playing the drop coverage, Mark can recover because I don't know what the wingspan difference is between him and Theo. It's got to be a few inches. It's got to be a few inches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
more than that.
And Mark is quicker than Theo on top of that, right? So like, when we're playing drop coverage, Mark can defend 3-point shooters a little bit better than Theo can. Now, he still got burned once or twice where he thought somebody was going to drive and he sagged back a little far, and then a Michigan State guy hit the 3. Fair enough. Michigan State shot out of their minds tonight, so I don't really that doesn't bother me that much. But when Theo is on the floor, he cannot recover like that. So if we're playing Theo, and I agree with Ryan that we just can't play Mark all that time. We've got to play Theo. We've got to have a big guy in there. I don't think that traditional drop coverage is the name of the game. I think that doing the sort of high ball screen hedge stuff that we've done in the past might not be a bad idea. Like playing a different defense when Theo is on the floor than when Mark is on the floor. Mm-hmm. I think is the big thing that would help. Right now we're playing the same defense, and Theo just can't. Theo is a phenomenal defender for what he is, but he is not the guy who can recover in drop coverage like that. He just can't.
I will say about the drop coverage tonight, I wasn't necessarily mad. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, hedge on Hogard," but Hogard can't shoot. Like that's what people. I think that's why I said like when Walker was in.
Yep, he was more dangerous.
I saw him way more as a threat because he's a shooter. Hogard shoots 21% from 3, so like we want him to shoot. That you saw they were gapping him at that time. So I wasn't mad necessarily at how they're guarding him on pick and rolls, but obviously you don't want to do that all the time.
My next question for everybody real quick is I think it is, and I think we can be okay with it since it's 2 game sets in a weekend, but is 7 enough? 7 guys enough to make a run? I think it is. I personally am okay with it because the talent that's within that, probably like more like 5 or 6 range, is enough to. They score double digits almost nightly now. At least 5 out of the 7 do. So I think it's enough. But is 7 enough to make a Final Four / championship run?
Yeah.
Everybody, Zion, any
Yes.
restraint?
Yeah, I mean it is. I think like I said, I think 27-15 was kind of 7. It was 8, but
Yeah.
I really thought it was 7. But like I
What's
feel like,
what's the alternative?
There is no.
There isn't one. I mean, you put in Joey Baker for what? I don't know.
Yikes, yo, Bates Jones got minutes.
No,
over
Bates.
Joey Baker.
It was Bates.
That's the
Bates
weird.
is our 8th man. Bates is our 8th
Yeah,
man.
but that's the weird thing is like it went from middle of ACC play to Bates and then back to Joey at the end of the year, and now it's back to Bates.
He was calling for it too. I felt real bad.
was jumping.
Like Bates was wide open, waving
Bates?
his arms.
Yeah, he was jumping
Bates
jacks
was
in it.
jumping up and down, waving his arms because
No,
he was
bro.
so open.
You are
Nobody
not
was
getting no
on him at all.
shots. I don't care. You're
Yeah,
not getting.
nah.
You're getting 0 shots in a
Michigan State looked
NCAA
at him
But,
like-
but then why is he out there? Then he shouldn't play. Then we should just play 7.
Michigan
if
State
he's
looked
out
at him
there,
like I think he's part of the bench. We're not going to cover
Yeah.
him right now. We're
if,
just going to
if,
leave
if,
him.
if
was
he's
there-
on the floor, that's the only reason he's out there is to take wide open corner threes. He was wide open. We didn't pass him the ball. And then Kay just never brought him back in because,
That
well, if
was
we're not
it.
going to pass him the ball and he's in the corner and he's wide open, then why would we even have him on the floor in the first place?
He was only in there to give guys rest. That was the only
That's it,
reason why he
yeah.
was there.
He-
For
wasn't there-
2 minutes?
Yeah, yeah. He was
2 minutes plus TV time.
Yeah, plus
that
TV
could
time.
ended up being 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that's
That's
really
big
why.
time.
why
Hey, and honestly, at this point, I'm taking Bates over Joey. Joey hasn't shown me. I'd take anybody. Joey hasn't shown me anything. So, like, who am I to say that I would take
Listen.
to Joey over anybody else? Like,
I don't blame Joey for that.
Yeah.
I don't blame Joey for
the
that.
leash. Well, that's a different
I think it doesn't
conversation.
matter.
I,
This
to
time.
a degree, I still do blame Joey because even the minutes he got in the first game, that was telling. That was
Yeah.
very telling. The
Well, he-
defensive.
His confidence is completely shook. It's not his fault. I think that like he's had a very short leash for most of the season, and honestly, going back to last season, and honestly, you could even go back to when we burned his red shirt when we absolutely should not have. I mean, like I think that all of that
Yeah.
builds up to him feeling like if I don't make a big play, then I'm off. So then he's shooting these shots that maybe he shouldn't. And he's nervous about it. And then on defense, he's jumping for steals. He's jumping out of position, and then people run by him because he's so pressed. He's just real pressed. Like, and I
his
don't
age-
blame him for that.
At his age, you
Yeah.
can't be pressed. There are
No.
guys his age that are getting NBA,
No.
playing NBA that aren't. You got to like, you get in, you have to perform. That's just how it is. Especially as a guy at his age, you're not going to get 30 minutes a game. You're not going to get 20. You're not going to get 10. When you get in, all you got to do
You're
is just mess up. All you got to do is just play defense and move your feet.
You know,
He
this
can live with bad
You're right.
shots if
Yeah.
he just doesn't give up the defense.
All he needs to be is Lee Melchione, and he has not been able to do that. But like Lee also had a longer leash. Lee had a longer
Someone
leash
said,
than
what if he
Joey
had
did.
Alex O'Connell?
Lee-
And also,
was-
Lee had less pedigree than Joey did. I would not be surprised. This is like, I don't know anything. I'm not an insider like some people on this. But like, if I was talking about Ryan Zion, I don't know what you were talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
come, I mean,
was
I
talking about
break news all the
Ryan's
time. Come
Ryan's
on.
the insider.
Yes, he is.
But if he goes and does what Alex O'Connell did at Creighton if he goes somewhere else, if he goes and does an Alex O'Connell Creighton thing, I wouldn't be surprised because he's just gonna have longer leash. He can make those mistakes.
He's
Well,
not as
stay
good
out
as
there.
Alex O'Connell.
Yeah, and the thing was, he's
Fair.
not as good. He's not as good as Alex O'Connell, and also Alex O'Connell
Fair.
after like 3 years of. There's one more year after this.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it took
and
Alex
O'Connell-
O'Connell year 5.
You gotta
But
also take
Baker,
into
if
account-
he didn't burn that red shirt first, you know what I mean? Like a lot of it goes back to that. Like I feel bad for Joey. I don't blame Joey, but he's not good enough to play. I do agree with that. He's not good enough to play, but I don't blame him for not being good enough to play right now.
Yeah, the last talking point for me, because I feel like we kind of sort of didn't give enough flowers, but Mark Williams tonight had to have been, I would consider him maybe MVP of the night, because it was basically if we needed a bucket at any point in the game, we could run a play for Mark. And
Right.
Mark is literally anywhere near the rim, it's being dunked or he's getting fouled. Like with 5 blocks tonight too in a game to go to the Sweet 16. Are you kidding me? Like that's why I tweeted
Mark
out he
Williams,
should be a lottery pick. Like
Right now, he's the tournament MVP, and our team.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
What do you have? What do you have
But-
game 1? I'm tripping. What do you have game 1?
You got to average at least like You're okay. I don't know. I don't know what he got game one. Let me look quick.
Yeah, I'm blanking on what he got game one. I might have said that wildly. But
In game one, Mark had where the.
I'm factoring ACC tournament, I guess.
While you're looking for that, to Ryan's point, we need to look for Mark more than we are, way more than we are.
He had 15, so he's 15 and 15 both games, which is.
Oh yeah. He's tournament MVP. I know what I'm saying. Come on, man. Who knows?
There's 16 other teams that I've watched, but I don't know who showed out.
No, I mean of Duke. Of
Duke.
Duke.
Yeah. 100% then. I thought you were talking overall. I was like, no, there's been some guys.
No.
But no, I just think tonight, Mark, I hate saying without, but Mark literally carried us through that first half, getting rebounds when we needed them, even though our defensive rebounding wasn't that great tonight. And Michigan State's known for good offensive rebounding and second chances. It's what got them to the tournament in the first place. So I love Mark Williams. He gets the ball down low, and we always talked about at the beginning of the season that he doesn't have a post-up game or a back-down game. He's shown that. He hit that jumper with the shot clock running out, which was insane. That was impressive.
That was elite.
But just he's shown so much, and I think we all sit on the Jeremy Roach improvement from start to finish of the season. Mark Williams went from like good to great, which is really hard to do. I think Jeremy went from average to really good. Mark's at that great level right now where there's teams in that 8 to 12 range of the NBA lottery, like drooling at what they could possibly do with their offense and him.
Well, not to drop any sources, but someone did tell me that's very close to Mark that did tell me that two teams that are looking at him are Memphis and Mavericks, Dallas. So
there we go. Perfect teams for a guy like him. So
I agree.
I just think that like if I'm all for everybody's flowers, but Mark Williams tonight, man, and if he keeps playing this way, Duke has a chance in every single game, especially against Texas Tech, who doesn't have a big that could stop Mark Williams.
He could easily have 20 a night. We just don't feed him the ball as much as we should.
Yeah,
exactly.
We are very hesitant on post passes, and we don't space the floor enough to get those good looks to it, for a post passer.
It seems like when Mark's wanting the ball, that it's crowded. There's not enough like lanes for him to get it. You could probably lob it to him and get it to him, but it just seems like it's crowded. And they sag off of our shooters a little bit more than what you would expect. So Mark Williams, man, hands down MVP of this team, like you said, Zion, so far this term. Without him, the offense isn't as opened up. The fact that we've been able to go from questioning whether or not Paulo and Mark should be on the floor together at the same time at the beginning of the season. That was a talking point after Gonzaga.
That was the first two shows.
That was the talking point was Kentucky and Gonzaga. Can Mark and Paulo play together? We were right at the time, but trust in the coaching staff.
You were questioning that. I never questioned that.
No, we were all questioning it. Whatever. I
was
don't care.
not part of that discussion.
Whatever. Either way, to where we are now, I will say is impressive because Paulo and Mark on the floor together is a deadly tandem on offense and defense. Paulo is showing. So I just want to give Mark his shout out because no one's hitting on enough. He was great.
Yeah, for sure. I think Notre Dame is a 1-point game at halftime. Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was one when I saw it. I don't know if it ended at half at that, but probably.
What if we get Notre Dame though?
Nah, I want Notre Dame, but like this team needs like a chip. I feel like they need people to be doubting them. And if you get Notre Dame and we're favored by 12 in that game, I'm not saying we're going to lose by any means. I would love to. I'd rather see Notre Dame. I would, but like I'm not going to get cocky and say, oh, if we see Notre Dame, well, it's a walk to the Elite Eight and Gonzaga. You know what I mean? I
won't say that, but like I don't think Coach K loses. Well, I think we almost lost to Virginia Tech, obviously. But like when we face ACT teams in the tourney, especially of late, I think obviously they give us their best shot, but I don't think they have enough to beat us.
Definitely want Notre Dame. Yeah, definitely want Notre Dame.
There's nothing they can do athletically. There's nothing they can do athletically. They just have to make a bunch of threes, and they can do that. But like that's not something you can count on. Like they can't stop Paolo, they can't stop Mark. They just can't.
Yeah, but Blake Wesley's that guy could play.
Yeah,
if he gets going, he's a tough matchup.
The other thing about Texas Tech is like I'm not a Texas Tech mind. I'm not a Big 12 mind, but like I feel like Texas Tech just has defense. I don't think they could have anybody that could torch us from three, and their 3-point shooting I don't think is elite.
Here's the thing,
I'm not saying I want to play Texas Tech over Notre Dame. I'm not scared of really either at this point.
But Texas Tech's scared because their defense leads to a lot of offense too, and we're a team that could fall into that trap of turning the ball over.
It's just hard to find a team out there that can guard Paulo and Mark outside of Gonzaga in our region, at least.
They're going to be physical, and the tournament is favored the more physical team.
Yeah,
for sure. With these refs, though, I don't know.
That's bad.
I will say,
these refs are bad.
I will say, watching Gonzaga, I'm not scared of playing Gonzaga again.
Dude, that game would be so much fun, man.
I think I've seen
Might be one of the
enough.
highest rated games ever.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, I saw what Jalen Duran when he was in did to Timmy. I think
And
Mark
the
should do
fouls
that
they
again.
called on Duran, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they had a chance, man. They had a chance.
Yeah, but Memphis is dumb, dude. Memphis is dumb.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, this Penny was letting.
Penny's not a good coach, man.
I'll give Penny his credit. He definitely turned
Mhm.
that season around, especially when he sat on Monty. Well, the Monty B situation happened, but like he made some poor decisions at the end of that game yesterday for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, his assistant coach was telling him to do certain things, and he was just like, "Shut up, Larry Brown."
Yeah.
It's Larry Brown.
His Hall of Fame 81-year-old coach is sitting there being like, "No, do this," and Larry's like,
He's like,
"Get out of here!"
Call a timeout. And he's like, "Leave me be, sir."
Freaking what's his name? Williams is just huffing and puffing with his hands on his knees, and Penny's like, "Play on, man."
I think I think that I got a notification saying Coach K got emotional tonight after the win.
I saw a couple. The two quotes that I saw was Tracy Wolfson was giving Coach K praise. He said, "I deserve none of it. These players showed guts." And then after the players were getting off of the podium, he told his players, make sure before you go back to the locker room, you give hugs to your families. I don't know when the emotional stuff came in, if that was it or what, but those are the two things I saw on Twitter was Coach. And I feel for Coach, man. I feel like he's doing the best he can to not keep this about him, but the media is what's pushing it about him. And like you tweeted Zion in the Dell press conference, he's like, everything is Coach K's last right now, but we can't look at it that way. And Coach doesn't look at it that way, but the media does. So it's a constant reminder. It's cool to see Coach K doing what he's doing.
Yeah, for me, I knew when he announced that he was going to retire, that this was going to either be the thing that like took this team down or built this team up, because it's a lot of pressure to put on a bunch of 19-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of pressure.
And when Dell said that quote that you tweeted, Zion, I was like, all right, they get it. I think they didn't get it a couple weeks ago, but now they get it. This is not about coaches. This is this team's last everything as well. So you got to put it in that perspective, not just in coaches.
Yeah. I mean, I think we need whoever the next media member in the next press conference next week who asks question about Coach K being his last Coach K run or whatever. I'm cooking you. I'm tagging you. You getting tagged on Twitter. You getting tagged on Twitter.
They put the media in there that hasn't covered Duke basketball all season long, and so they've been waiting for like 6 months to ask that freaking question. And like, even though it's been asked 1,000 times, you're like, I'm gonna get mine in. I got to get mine in.
People have wrote 4 long stories on this. Like they did a whole week of Coach K retirement content.
We got the Coach K funeral out the way, man.
We need a trap door. Every time someone asks that question, they just pull a lever and they just go down.
Just drop. Coach K. Somebody asked Coach K if Jeremy Roach chest bumped him at the end, and Coach K says, "I don't have a chest to bump."
I saw that Coach K smile at the end of the game. That made me happy, man. I was like, yeah.
Don't just say Verve.
Verve. Yeah.
Always spurt with Verve.
Always spurt with Verve. There's the tweet right there, man. Yeah, I don't know where he got emotional. I'm trying to find it. I don't see much. He said,
he and Izzo are good friends, and this is the last time they're ever going to face each other. And they've had some battles over the years. I mean, everything's probably got to feel like the last, and that's they're never going to coach against each other again.
Yeah,
unless and grandkids go at it in the park or something. It's never going to happen.
Man, I need to get off some Coach Izzo slant.
Don't even the comparison. Like, if you put Coach K in the same breath as Tom Izzo, you are out of your freaking mind. Not even close.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. I was going to say, did you see the Athletic? The Athletic said that K versus Izzo, this was possibly their last time meeting.
Yeah, perhaps is the word they use. It's like, perhaps. What, Coach K's going to come back now?
Michigan State going to get put back in the tournament after losing? Like,
Brendan Marks said, "Love you, but check your editor, man. That ain't happening."
He's taking that Kansas State job instead of Don Staley. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I was just going to point out, Brian, they're hiring somebody else's assistant, not Don Staley. Unfortunately, they're hiring Baylor's assistant. Although that would have been freaking cool.
Oh, Jerome
Jerome. Yeah.
That's a great hire. That's a really good hire, actually.
Coach K said, "I'm 75 to have moments like that. You've got to be kidding me. How damn lucky can you be?" I'd assume that one made him a little emotional. Great video on the Duke basketball Twitter of the guys partying in the locker room. That's pretty cool. So check that out. But yeah, man, what a night, man. And now we got another 5 days of Duke basketball at least.
Yes, that was the
man.
biggest thing for me. I was like, man, I can't have this end. Number one, I can't have UNC get the last laugh like this. That would be the worst thing ever to happen in the Duke UNC rivalry is this team going farther than us in the tournament. But just the fact you have 5 more days is just.
How about a Duke UNC Final Four to end it, huh?
No, thank you.
I saw Russ's comments on this on Twitter. I'm not totally against it. I'm not
totally against it because especially if we redeem ourselves, but like I'm against it because I'd take 5 years off my life.
I don't want them getting close to the Final Four. I just don't want it.
No. But they look good. But hey, let's give a little shout out real quick to a non-in-state rivalry of St. Peter's Peacocks taking out our BBN.
Oh yeah, BBN Pack. Kentucky Pack is in the air. Both of y'all at Murray State. Both of y'all in Kentucky. So it's the whole state of Kentucky Pack is out. North Carolina cannot relate. Basketball state. But
was a coach.
But I think Russ, I don't know where Russ is because I definitely wanted to get to this point. Apparently, Miami's taking it to Auburn. So
are they?
Are we? I'm not one to big up the ACC and all that. I'm not that guy. Ryan is that guy.
I'll be that guy. ACC underrated all year. What are they like 11-1 now in postseason play? I can't stand it. Big Ten trash every time in March. I'm never betting. I'm never picking a Big Ten team again. Trash. ACC always better than the Big Ten. ACC runs college basketball. Get out of here with the Big Ten and SEC stuff. Out of here.
Yeah, Wisconsin's on the ropes too.
Yeah.
Well, Wisconsin, their best defender got injured like 5 minutes into the game, to be fair.
Yeah, it's Iowa State. Big 12 and ACC runs college basketball. They might as well twist it to an ACC Big 12 challenge at this point.
We got an ACC
now 5-48.
Russ, what's your problem with the ACC love? Let's hear it.
His KenPom numbers don't make it up.
Oh wow!
It has nothing to do with KenPom, and has everything to do with if we were better, then why doesn't the ACC do better during this season?
Well
in games that matter. I mean, I
can answer that. I can answer that. Well, I think we saw it, and a lot of people have said this. Even Coach Larinaga said it. A lot of these teams in the ACC were starting from scratch, and a lot of them were starting with transfers. You can't just off the bat play well with transfers.
Texas is the same way
too.
And Texas Tech.
Wait a minute. So what that bears out to, though, is that right now, yes, if you wanted to say that in the last 2 weeks, the ACC is better than what the Big Ten or whatever. If you want to say that the ACC is better in the last 2 to 3 weeks, okay, I think there's maybe some numbers to like bear that out. It's just what I always like. What blows my mind about this conversation every single year is that people will see a few games, and the NCAA tournament is just a few games. Like it is. Granted, they matter for narrative. They matter across the board. They're the games people remember. I'm not disputing any of that. But if the ACC is better now, that does not mean that the ACC was better this season. That doesn't mean the resumes were better. That doesn't mean the teams were better. It just doesn't. Like, it might mean we're better now. That's fine. If we're better now, then that's okay. But, like, better on the whole, like, if we were better on the whole, there would have been more wins. There would have been better games. Like,
but I think even I'm not on any side here really. I'm just being devil's advocate.
Sure.
Wouldn't you want to judge a team based off of how they end and not how they start?
Yeah, but you can't seed them on how they end.
That's fine. I'm not saying we deserve more teams in the tournament. I'm just saying the ACC
That's all I'm
teams.
saying.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like we deserve more. Wake Forest maybe is the only one who might have gotten scuffed there at the end, but just like the fact that the ACC is outperforming every other conference right now in postseason play, I think
do it though.
Exactly, it happens all the time. So
do we?
Historically, yeah. How many Big Ten teams has been to the Final Four in the last 10, 20 years? ACC is by far more than the Big Ten.
Yeah, but how
Big
many
Ten
of them are just Duke, UNC over those years? Like, if you removed Duke and UNC,
UVA,
yes. Now wait a minute, Brian. If you're gonna say that, then is the
UVA.
WCE one of the best conferences because they always have somebody in the Final Four the last 5 years? Like,
UVA always makes a deep run. Usually, FSU has made deep
I don't
runs.
know if people want to claim that the top of the ECC is better than the top of the other conferences, I'm so okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. But like the middle end of the conference, the bottom end of the conference does matter, and the middle end and the bottom end of the conference, especially this season for the ACC, was worse than the Big East, the Big Ten, the SEC, the Big 12. Like, I've never doubted for a second that Duke was better than any team from the Big Ten this year. I've never doubted that for a second. Like, and even if you want to say that UNC today is better than like Illinois today, okay, I'll even give you that. But like, if in March, if you want to look at teams 4 through 14, I'll take the Big Ten on literally all of those teams. Like, you know what I mean? Like down the line across the board.
We'll call it a draw unless Brian has thoughts to make
That's all I'm saying. I agree with Ryan that the teams that are peaking now are better than some of the teams. I completely agree with that. I just don't like that the narrative tends to be, oh, well, then this whole season people were underrating. Nah, dude, that's not how it works. The whole season they were rating things appropriately. It's just now, like 3 ACC teams are doing very well now, and the rest of them are still shitty. Like,
and I agree with it most of the year. The ACC was down, and it hurt Duke, especially when it came to seeding.
Yes.
And I'm not going to sit here and say the whole season. Yeah, it's just I just love. It makes me happy outside of UNC that the ACC is doing well in postseason play. That's all.
Okay.
I hate the ACC.
So back to Duke. AJ Griffin. I think I wanted to get to that, but AJ Griffin. I think I was scared when I saw the injury. I was really scared just because knowing his injury history, of course. I mean, he supported that he could possibly come back into the game, so I think he should be fine for next week.
I think so.
But
considering his history, I understand your fears. I had them too. I said,
sure.
Please don't let it be the knee. Please don't let it be the knee. Then I saw the replay and I was like, well, ankle, but hopefully not bad.
Yo, that court was trash all weekend, by the way.
That wasn't from the court, though.
It's not good.
It looked like there was a little slip. No,
I think he just. I think his feet just caught and his ankle went under him.
Yeah, but Brian, this is what gets the people going, man. It's about the slip. It's about the
Matt
terrible
Norlander.
court.
Seeing Matt Norlander protect AJ Griffin, blaming the court, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run with it too. I ain't saying nothing about it.
That's when I said something.
It was definitely
Norlander and Goodman both. They were both talking about the
replay
court
looked on TV like there was like a 2-inch slip and then a roll. But I get what you're saying, Brian. It mainly was just a roll.
Yeah, I went back and watched it again just to double check because I was hoping it was not that I was hoping it was the floor, but I wanted something to blame it on.
My question to y'all is: what if we don't have AJ Griffin next week?
We will. I'm not worried about that.
He's back.
5 days, he's fine.
Or okay, no, I was trying to real a hypothetical here, but what if he's limited?
He's not limited. He'll be back. He was jumping around the sidelines, man. He'll be back. Come on now.
It's gonna hurt tomorrow, but
yeah,
they'll take care of it. Jose got
Zion, I'll put it this way. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think if they want to limit him on Thursday, because the biggest Texas Tech is a very bad offensive team, regardless of what happened with Montana State, right? The Montana State game was a fluke for Texas Tech. Generally, they're not a good offensive team. They are one of the best defensive teams in the country. And if we want to beat them, we have to play good defense. We just do. And our team is always better offensively if AJ is on the court, and we are always worse defensively if AJ is on the court. Like, you can look at the numbers for that. It just is. So I think if we don't have AJ there, or if we have limited AJ, if we have like 15-minute AJ, 20-minute AJ, I don't think that hurts us. I think that works in our favor to some extent, and we can rest him for the games that would actually matter. I think if we did end up having to play Gonzaga, I think AJ would have a huge impact in that game, just from the idea that like we need to outscore Gonzaga at the end of the day, because there's only so much that our defense is going to be able to stop them. We can stop Texas Tech's offense because Texas Tech's offense is bad. Like, but we've got to play good defense to stop that offense. Gonzaga, we need our offense to be at full firepower. We need AJ. So if we've got like half AJ on Texas Tech, I don't mind that, frankly. I mean, it puts a lot more pressure on Keels. But
I agree, and I think even Texas Tech, looking at them now, I mean, I haven't been watching the game, but I mean, they're struggling with Notre Dame. Just going to put points up on Notre Dame. That's not exactly a defensive team, but
they're a bad shooting team.
Yeah, so like that kind of gives me confidence because like even today, like that looked like a loss for much of the game, end of the game, I would say for Duke, especially when they got down 5, and the way Michigan shot the lights out. I don't think we'll ever see that from Texas Tech. Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood, because teams that don't shoot well somehow, you know,
they shot well versus Montana State.
Okay.
So,
take some shooting Toradol, and for some reason they do well against us.
You know, so I got some confidence, some newfound confidence going into next. And I think obviously March is about guard play. We've been saying it all year. And Jeremy Roach, this game I feel like is going to be the turning point where he becomes the guy in the backcourt.
Yeah.
You know, Shire's secretly salivating for next year. He's like,
year 3.
Not secretly at all, Brian. Not secretly at all.
He's
shining up those keys and ready to give it to him.
Yeah, he got the keys. The keys are his, man. Unless he wants to go to the D League. But like, I think he's going to come back from. He should stay. 1 year, he's locked to stay. But
he could make so much money in NIL next year, like because he'd be the guy. He'd be the returning guy. He'd be the guy. So much money NIL for Roach, and like I don't think, as much as I love Jeremy Roach, he's not right now an NBA prospect. He's just not. Like he's not even a second round. He's not even like one of those guys where like maybe he's a second round pick. He's just not. Because he's too slight of frame. His 3-point shooting numbers on the season have not been there. Like so, I think he could come back and put himself into that second round conversation in a huge way and make a shitload of NIL money and make so much NIL money feeding Lively, feeding Flip, feeding Whitehead, feeding the incredible bodies around him. Like he could get 8-9 assists a game next year and then make himself
slow down. 8-9 assists is ridiculous.
Money. That's all I'm saying.
I know. Trey Jones only averaged 6 max with the elite scores next to him.
I think he ain't got to worry about. We don't play next year. We don't know how we're going to play next year. To be fair, if we play up
start every game next year, and he knows that.
Yes.
All right. But next. Okay, go Zion.
Nah, but speaking of the up tempo thing, a lot of the time I tweeted it too, and I texted Dom like last week. I was like, we need to start adopting. Oh, Wisconsin lost. We need to stop adopting the UNC type style and running after makes and miss. Just run. We started to do it at the beginning of the second half. Like, stop waiting for defenses to set up. We're not good in the half court. We're just not. We just gotta run, and we have so much talent. If we run, we're gonna find good opportunities every single time. Make or miss. Doesn't have to be. We don't have to be getting stops. Just run, bro.
Just be happy.
That's how we let them back into the game.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian. What you say?
I said I'd just be happy if we got back in transition every goddamn time.
Oh man.
Yeah, that too.
Transition to decent, which was awful today. Oh man.
All right, man. Well, we got Thursday. Zion, we're gonna do a show before, you think?
Wait, the game is on Thursday?
Yeah, we're a Thursday game.
Why?
I'm almost positive we're a Thursday game. I think both us and Gonzaga are Thursday games.
That's what he said to them. Yeah.
Yeah. 4 days?
Yep.
So the Saturday guys play on Friday?
Yep.
That's trash.
Yeah, we got Thursday. I know for sure. I'm almost positive we're Thursday. There's not a time yet. So
you know why that is, Zion? You know why that is?
Why?
They want Duke Gonzaga Saturday, baby. They want Duke Gonzaga Saturday,
that would be prime time Saturday night, and it's on the West Coast, so we're getting the late game too. We're getting the 9-10 game.
Yeah.
Oh man, I better get ready for a late show next week. So we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got to go celebrate. I got to watch this. So we let y'all go. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday. Go Duke. Any last words, from Ryan?
More beers.
Oh man.
Peace latte.
Let's go, baby. See y'all Thursday.
Appreciate